The most important thing is to organize, to plan out in advance because, if you don't plan, something's going to sift through the cracks. Ultimately, you need to plan to enjoy too,
Right.
try not to make it as stressful of an event as it might be. So I guess the other thing is backup plan.
Yeah.
I have served pasta one time and gone to put the large bowl on the table, and the pasta all slipped out over the edge, and I have pasta all over, and you're like, what do you do?
Yeah. What do you do?
You're like scooping it back in. Why don't you take it from the table?
Yeah, this is the new way the Italians are eating it. Like, we eat it all on the table. It's truly family style.
It gives new meaning to dish it out, truly.
Yes.
Throw the whole dish.
Welcome to Three Little Fishes. We're three sisters who grew up in the Midwest together, but have since spread across the country. I live in Los Angeles.
I'm in Nashville.
And I live in Philadelphia. We are all married with children. We've all had careers, but now we stay at home with our families.
We've all been through ups and downs that come along with life and have always helped each other through, shared stories, and laughed together.
We welcome all of you into our daily conversations and hope you have some fun with us.
So let's jump in.
What's up, fishes?
What's up? What's up?
How are we all doing today?
Doing good.
Doing well.
You guys, I'm actually kind of tired today, and I am going to shock you, I think, when I talk to you about this, and Mom and Dad, I think, listen to this podcast, so I'm just going to warn you, I'm going to talk about sex for a second. So maybe you pause this part or turn it down. But I am tired because I live with a teenager, and we live in a smaller house. All of our bedrooms are on one side of the house in the hallway. And my child, my almost 10-year-old, she's not 10 yet, but she will be soon, goes to bed at a normal, reasonable time. She sleeps. She's a really good sleeper. Like a little earthquake does not wake her up. But my teenage son wants to be up at all hours of the night, which is okay. I get it. That's how their brain works. But for me, it's hard for me. Like, Tim and I will have time in our room. We're chatting. One thing might lead to another. But I can't relax because I know my teenage son is awake. So I'm like, and Tim is like, why won't he go to bed? And I'm like, well, he's a teenager. So, so then I'm trying to stay awake to help, so my son will go to bed. And, I'm like, okay, so let's just turn the TV on. Right now I'm rewatching Friday Night Lights. I don't know if y'all remember that show, but it's about football. So I'm turning up the TV so loud so that you're hearing like football in our room and maybe nothing else. If he happens to still be awake, walking the halls or like in his room, maybe he's sleepy or not. And I want to know, is this a me problem that I think about this stuff? Is this a legit problem that other people think about with their teenagers awake in their house? Maybe you don't have this problem because you all have bigger houses than me and your rooms are on opposite sides of the house. But I'm asking for a friend, myself, like, is this a me problem or is this, nothing to worry about? I don't know.
People should email us and tell us what they think.
We don't talk about sex a lot, but the three of us, which I don't know why, because it happens. We all have it, but we don't seem to talk. We talk about all other things, but we don't really talk about it with each other. And I can't believe I'm throwing this out in the world, but you all, I am. This is what's on my mind. And this is why I'm so tired, because then I'm up super late, TV's blaring, and then I am wide awake and I can't go to sleep. So this morning I slept through my alarm. And I'm just like wet hair, like I'm a hot mess this morning.
We should be like relaxed.
Listen, it was super fun, but is this
There's
right?
a consequence to the fun. Yeah.
I'm just saying, I'm like, how do I manage my life? And I also feel like I'm hiding and sheepishly, what is happening that I am struggling with this so much?
I think it's such a common thing though, because there's like all kinds of comedy skits like,
oh, the kid's away. Are the kids asleep? They're asleep. Let's, I think it's such a common thing.
Yeah.
And teens stay up late. They wreck you. I mean, all you mommies out there that have littles and you just are tired, just wait.
Wait. Yep.
Just wait.
Well, they're always awake. They are always awake. And ours always just barge in. They're like, oh, we wanted to tell you something. I'm like, it's like 1:00 in the morning. What are you doing in here? Get out.
And plus, knock. The door is closed. Knock.
But soon they'll be gone, Nancy, so you won't have to worry.
You gotta lock the door.
Listen, I will be super
she's
sad,
in it
but
for a while.
I'm just saying, I'm not that old that I still enjoy time with my husband. I have fun with it still, and I feel like I'm struggling with how to have this balance. And I will say, having to turn on Friday Night Lights full blast to try to I'm not
We've
sure
done that
that's
too.
the answer.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
Yeah. I think maybe because you have a little flexibility with your timing. So I think maybe you have to adjust your timing to like a mid-morning or early afternoon or something like that.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
A little lunch break.
Hey, Tim, don't have those feelings right now. Suppress. Tomorrow at 9 a.m. I'll see ya. Anyway, if any of our listeners have any of similar problems, want to chat about it, send us a note. Let's chat about it.
Let's problem solve.
All right, you all. I just want to today we're going to be talking about all things gearing up for the holidays, like starting to get there because it's November and we're thinking about Thanksgiving. So we are going to be talking to a good friend of ours, Janice, who's a really good entertainer. And she has some tips and tricks if you're trying to help wrap your head around your holiday meal. Mm-hmm. We also are going to talk about the aging guest. Like, is there anything we need to think about when we're hosting an aging guest? Mm-hmm. So before we get into it,
I would like to talk about your hair.
Oh,
your hair looks really good, but it looks different a little bit.
I was going to share that in a minute as we get ready, but I did do something I do have a hair confession. Do you guys want to hear it?
Yes.
So I have gone gray early in my life. I've gone gray and I've had to get it colored like years. I've been coloring my hair for probably, no joke, like 20 years. Not because I want to be more blonde, but because I'm gray. And I love the person who colors my hair. She's amazing, Amy. So if you're listening, you are amazing. But I am struggling with going every 3 to 4 weeks to color my hair for $150. Like it's a lot. And it's stressing me out to have to do that. So it's a time suck. It's a money suck. So I'm like, you know what? I like Drew Barrymore and I am a marketer's dream because she now markets Garnier Nutrice, the hair color in the box.
I've seen that.
And I'm just like, you know what? If she's peddling this, I bet she likes it because I don't think she would peddle something that she truly does not think is a good product. Mm-hmm. So I decided to color my own hair and I did it myself. Read the directions, put the gloves on, and I did it myself. And
now, what did you wear? Like that? How did you not get it all over you?
So I just wore a robe, and I did get it all over myself, and I made a mess. But I do think I colored the gray, and
that looks good.
You just do the roots.
I actually did the roots, but then I pulled it through with the comb because I was worried that it would be blotchy. And it was okay. Like it went better than I thought. It was kind of stressful. And my backup plan was having Amy on speed dial if I did something horribly wrong. But I think it turned out okay. And
it looks good.
I think it looks good.
You know, if you
the
guys
mess, like how did you do the mess? Like that's my thing. I think that's why I don't do my own because I'm worried I'm going to stain stuff.
I just laid out the towel that I didn't care about on my sink. And then I had the gloves and then I just used the Clorox wipe when I was letting my hair render.
Okay.
And I cleaned it up. And honestly, it was easier.
easy.
It was easier than I thought it was going to be.
Mhm.
It was just more
Are you
nerve-wracking.
happy?
I am happy with it. I think it's like a good fix. I'm not saying that I don't ever want to go to Amy and go to the salon, and there's something nice about sitting in the chair.
Yes,
but
for
there
sure.
is. I do feel the pressure to not feel like I have to go in so much. And again, not to sound cheap, but I'm tired of spending $150 every 4
It's
weeks
expensive
to get my hair colored.
Yeah, you're right.
So I wanted to try something different. So, and also the other reason that I did that is because I was making I was making bacon the other morning, and I turned on my upper oven to make bacon, and it did not come to temperature. And just to give everybody a reminder, our listeners who would not know, these ovens, I got double ovens 3.5 years ago, and I've been waiting my whole adult life to have a double oven. I bought these Bosch double ovens during COVID, and I was so happy. I love them. And are you kidding me, Bosch, that my upper oven is died at 3.5 years? Like, are you kidding me?
That's
So I
ridiculous.
had somebody come out and look at it, and they think the panel's bad. So now I have to have Bosch actually come out and take a look. And bonus, it's not under warranty anymore because
of course
it's getting ready to
That's terrible.
Turn 4. So
that thing should work longer than that.
Bosch, I don't appreciate that I'm having so much trouble, and I think that you should honor your high-end product. I'm not impressed. And I will just also say I did a tiny bit of research, and I looked on a consumer website, and it looks like during this time frame that there's problems with these appliances because they are suspecting it's a COVID problem with manufacturing, with the chips, with how they put it together. So I feel like it's another little slow leak of a problem dealing with COVID.
Well, hopefully they'll come out and honor your expired warranty, because it really only expired like 6 months ago.
I think that's so cute that you think that. When I called Bosch to talk to them about it, the customer service person that I talked to was not very friendly and was just like, this is not our problem. Like you don't have a warranty on it anymore. Like you're going to have to fix it or buy a new one. Well, I'm not going to buy a new one. I'm going to end up spending like $1,000 to get it fixed.
Right.
But
hence saving money on your hair. I get it.
So
I'm sorry that happened.
Okay, before we get into our segment on hosting, some entertainment buzz that definitely has been happening in our house this week is the season premiere of Yellowstone happened. Season
I can't
5.
hear about this. I haven't watched it yet.
So I will not say anything, Linda, to spoil it by any means, but it definitely raised some eyebrows, and there's some fans that are upset. And they say that the co-creator, Taylor Sheridan, some people are like saying that was not a cool thing to do to that character. Kevin Costner, of course, left the show, and he wanted to do other things, which is fine, but people are just upset in like the way that the show is having him leave,
where it's going.
Where it's going. So
drama.
There was some
I can't wait to see it
in my house this week.
I don't think that Peter got that excited about TV stuff.
He loves this show and he's obsessed with it. He keeps watching reruns.
We love it at our house too. We just haven't seen the new episode. So I'm excited to see it. I can't talk about it anymore. I can't handle it.
No, I'm not
so
going to
excited
say anymore,
to see it.
They did say that
Tune
this co-creator of Yellowstone is making a new show, which Peter actually was excited about. It's called Landman, and it's centered in Texas, and they're going to talk about the oil industry, and it has Billy Bob Thornton in it and John Hamm. So, even though he was upset with what's happening in Yellowstone, he's like, oh, well, maybe this new show will take, over and like give him some reprieve. I don't know, but
My anger is short-lived now that you're giving me something else. John Hamm, I'm in.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, y'all.
All right,
Before
well,
we
I'm
get
gonna check-
into it, let's. I want to remind you all to please subscribe, rate, review, and please invite some of your favorite fishes, to join in to our conversation. All right, y'all. So we are going to talk about the aging guest. Like, so a lot of us host and our parents come and visit, or aunts and uncles, or
Yes.
so it's something that we have started thinking about, the three fishes. How or should we think about the aging guest? Does that change of how we host for anything, especially Thanksgiving coming up?
Yeah. So I was kind of thinking about this and ran across an article on neighborly.com, which I posted in the show notes, but it does give some good tips about things to think about. You know, aging people need a little extra planning. Like, it really is ideal if you could put these guests on the first floor and they actually have their own bathroom. But in some cases, you don't have that. Like, I don't have that in my own home. You know, if they do have to go upstairs, you need to make sure that the stairs are lit well so they don't fall down the stairs, and they know, they can tumble. So you just have to be careful with that. There's also a tip about, they get up at night and you don't want it really dark. So maybe a night light would be helpful. And this is something that I did actually. Linda did this, a couple of years ago. You put in some handrails in the shower and the toilet area just to help with stability. And then she told me that. I was like, I should do that also. So we ended up putting some handrails in our shower and our toilet area just to help, with grip and being able to get up and not be stuck.
Yeah.
So think about that. Like, sometimes it's hard for older people to get, like, actually squat and get up. So they recommended extra blankets because they sometimes they're a little colder. They run colder, except
our mother who wants, except
Right.
our mother who in the middle of the winter throws up the windows. And it's like, has like a 30 mile an hour winds coming through her bedroom with her hair moving, like, oh, this is so refreshing.
She's an anomaly.
She's an outlier for sure.
I mean, meanwhile, our dad walks around their house in a parka.
Yeah,
right?
poor dad.
Like,
Poor dad. Another tip was you need to think also about, like, meal planning, because they may have some, like, diet restrictions. Sometimes there's diabetes and health conditions that, like, are part of their equation now. But they also eat more frequently. So you need to have snacks.
yeah.
Like, if you have maybe a little refrigerator you could put in a room they're staying, so it would have drinks and water and snacks that they can eat.
That's a fancy room. Mom and Dad, I put in a little mini fridge for you.
Yeah, but it's just, I think, just thinking about how people live, you have to be mindful of when they're coming into your home. Are they going to feel comfortable in your home? Is kind of what I'm thinking about when I have
comfortable
guests.
and safe. I mean, for me also, we don't have carpet in our house. We have hardwood floors, but we do have area rugs. So I pull those up and roll them up and put them in storage while I have some of our older company come over, because I don't want them to trip and fall.
Right.
And honestly, when we moved into our house now, our toilets were kind of in bad shape. So we replaced them all with comfort height. And I'm not suggesting people go out and replace their toilets, but if you do end up replacing your toilet, do a comfort height. As we're aging, it is easier to get up and down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not
When
as
you have
far
a
down.
higher, right. They're just a little taller. So it's just a little easier on your knees.
Right.
So we did do that too. And I think that has made it an easier visit as well. Yeah. So I think those are really good tips because, it's real. We're all aging and we want people to be comfortable and safe in our spaces.
Yeah.
You
We
just
even
want your
have
guests.
we want them to be comfortable. We even have like a shower chair and we have put little stickers on the bottom of the shower. So we have the grips, but then also the grippies on the shower floor. So
Well,
people
sometimes that floor is slick. I mean,
It is. And then
Before
stepping out of the shower, it's slick. So trying to think about all those safety things because
I mean,
as much as
water
we
on the
love
floor.
everybody, we don't really want anybody to get hurt on our watch.
Right. I mean, even my husband, sometimes if I get water on the floor, I mean, one time he actually like almost hit the dust. And he was like, "What'd you do?"
You know what? We're terrible. Like, do you laugh when your husband like calls or like? I do it too, and I don't know if it's a nervous laugh, but Tim's like,
it's just
"Why do you
nerves,
always laugh when I get hurt?" I'm like, I don't know. I have like
twisted.
a sixth sense of humor. I guess you're clearly fine.
Yeah. But the other thing that I'm kind of thinking about is we are having overnight guests and I have a huge age range of people. So not only the aging guest is coming, so we've done kind of all those things too. And I think it does make it more comfortable for them, but I'm having some young people at our house too. And we don't have young people at our house anymore. Everybody's like an adult.
Yeah.
So I had to dig through and get out some like crayons and markers and crafts. And I did start putting those things in the room that I know these younger guests are going to stay in so that they can be occupied a little bit,
Yeah.
And it's
not necessarily. I think that's a great idea, Linda.
Yeah.
Like a little activity.
Yeah. I feel like when I have guests come to, I always try and call them ahead of time just to see if there's anything in particular that they would like me to have stocked in the refrigerator.
That's a good idea.
If they need an extra creamer or, something that they just have every day that they would feel lost if they didn't have, or some particular foods that in the pantry would make them feel nice, or for young kids even.
Yeah.
There's some kids, they have these restrictions. So I think making a call ahead of time just lets your guests kind of feel more welcome.
I think that's really nice.
Idea. I'm not as good about that as you are.
The only other thing I can think of that I do is I make sure wherever their room is, especially for young kids, is making sure they have enough cords and things to charge their devices. Mm-hmm. Because sometimes people will forget to bring their charging cord, or maybe they only brought one and they need like 3, So I try and have some kind of electrical device that they can all plug into it so they're not like freaked out when they don't have their devices.
I know, Kathy, you are really good about that. Like, I remember the last time I came to visit and I was like, oh, you have this set up. I don't even have to pull out my cords.
I was just in Chicago and I stayed at a friend's house for a couple of nights, and it was so sweet because she put together like a little basket of washcloths and towels and toiletries and like a little scrubber for the shower. And it was just like, it made me feel, very at home. So I think that is so nice. And the other thing I like to do too is make sure all the bathrooms that anybody's going to use has a hairdryer, because we have kids away at college. And so they took a bunch of stuff. So making sure that everybody's bathrooms are stocked with all the things that they would need, like a hairdryer. So that is something.
Yeah, I never travel with a hairdryer ever.
No, ever. So it's so, it's nice for people to know in advance, like, I don't have to bring my hairdryer. You can come. Everything will be here. Just come and relax and have fun and enjoy your time away from home, because it is hard to live out of a suitcase. Yeah. So, yeah, I think those tips for the aging guests, but also thinking about the younger ones, and making it as homey and as, friendly as you can make it when you're living out of a suitcase.
Yeah, that's really nice. So some good ideas, girls. Okay, so speaking of entertaining, we're starting to wrap our head around the holiday meal, like particularly Thanksgiving. And I am not really great about the Thanksgiving meal itself. I love it when people come and visit, but that's not really in my wheelhouse. And I probably need to do it a little bit different and better. So I feel like I'm not a crazy person trying to put it together. So we have a friend, Janice, who is known to be a really beautiful entertainer. And she loves to throw dinner parties, particularly holiday feasts. And she has some tips and tricks for us that we're going to talk to her about.
Janice has been a friend of the Fishes for about 35 years. Kathy, Janice, and I were all sorority sisters back in the day at the University of Iowa. Go G-Phi. And now I'm a neighbor of Janice's. I have been to her house countless times for different events, holidays, parties, etc. And we know from experience what a fantastic cook and hostess she is. So welcome to the show, Janice.
Welcome, Janice.
Happy to be here. Thank you.
How many holidays do you think you've hosted over the years?
I've probably done holidays, probably to the tune of 100. But socially, we do a lot of dinner parties. And I've probably done maybe 200 dinner parties over the course of my history of entertaining, being married, etc. So I think got a good experience base with that. And love to entertain, love to have people in my house. So.
How did you end up with holidays? Like, did you like volunteer for that when you got married? Because you got married really young, like right out of college. So did you get volunteered for that, or did you raise your hand and say, okay, I want to take over?
I kind of think that the whole entertainment concept has been, for me, has been following in my mom's footsteps. You know, firsthand, my mom was a delightful entertainer. She used to tell me funny stories that when they first got married, she would invite couples over for dinner. And because they couldn't afford to go out at that time, she would put out little paper doilies as decor on her little snack tables where she put her appetizers before she served. And she was like, I always just wanted a little touch and all that kind of stuff. And so it was kind of fun because she always made great food, set a beautiful table, and she managed to make it look effortless. And I think her biggest thing was whenever I did something, whenever we started, I would be in the kitchen with her cooking and doing anything. And she would say to me, you just need to watch. Now watch. It's always important to watch so that you learn the right process, so that you know when to add X or Y or Z or all those kinds of things. She never rushed anything, and everything was always made homemade. You know, we didn't buy store-bought potato salad. Mom made the potato salad and the deviled eggs and all that stuff. So I think
Dorothy was a very good cook. I have some of her recipes. Yeah.
Yes.
She was
amazing. I really think the entertainment thing kind of just almost got handed down.
Yeah,
because at some point my mom was like, I'm not really up for having, 30 people for a holiday or what have you. In a couple of pinches, there was a point in time when I went home and I was married and I probably had a kid, maybe two, but my mother-in-law had been in the hospital and she had always traditionally had the Thanksgiving holiday. And so she wasn't getting out of the hospital. So she was kind of like, we got into town on Sunday, and on Monday she said, well, we're having, 18 people on Thursday, hop to it. So it was like, I'm like, oh my God. I remember going to the grocery store. She didn't have the turkey. So I'm like, or she had ordered the turkey. So the turkey was easy because it was a pickup, but it was a fresh turkey and I had never done fresh turkey. So I was like, it was, and she wanted her stuffing. And so it was, kind of just going by what somebody else is telling you. And so, you were kind of trying to please everybody. And at the same point in time, kind of panicked because.
So Janice, that would be interesting. That probably would have been really internet of where you would just go look up. What does I know? How does she cook a turkey? right?
Exactly. And it was before it was like, hey, Siri, how long to cook an 18-pound turkey with stuffing? That kind of a thing. So, you're reading the directions. And then again, I'm trying to do her recipes and mimicking her recipes. And some of this was, I had always done my mom's recipes. So, I was trying to please that side of the family and had probably, I think, a tot or two running around, and I remember going to the grocery store on a Monday and it was like $570 at the grocery store. And I was like, sticker shock and panic and pulling recipes and stuff because we always contributed, but she would do everything, and then I might make like a pumpkin ribbon cake or something, and that's kind of the way I've kind of done my holidays too. So, I like to plan the whole meal, and then my guests, I'll ask them to bring wine or a dessert or an appetizer, something that doesn't, like, I don't want to say interfere with the meal, but just allows me to get all my ducks in a row from a planning perspective.
So you prefer, if you're going to host, you want people to bookend it. You you literally do the meat, the middle of it, and you want your guests to bookend it. That's a good idea.
Yeah. I find that way, they're not competing with the dinner and then going, oh, well, I don't know what side I'm going to make, or, this way I have it all planned, and then the timing, because the timing to me, that's the synchronization on, like, let's use Thanksgiving.
Right. That's a huge part.
On Thursday morning is key. So for me, I like to know that I can make stuff ahead of time. Sweet potatoes can be made ahead of time. The topping can be put on right before you reheat them in the oven or what have you. And so to me, that's the key, is just being able to get my timing right, because I like to enjoy the holiday too.
For me, I'm wondering what are tips for people to have a successful holiday that they host, so it's not so overwhelming for them?
Well, I think, the best thing, and I've said this before, is you have a game plan. You have to be organized to host the holidays, whether it's having overnight guests or company in from out of town or any of those things. You need to plan. And I start fussing a couple weeks before the holiday. I start rummaging in my head, start putting doodling on the paper. What am I going to do? And then I start to rummage through recipe books, things I've earmarked, maybe things I've been like, oh, maybe I'd like to try this, and sometimes I'm more tried and true. I kind of rely and sit back on my laurels and like the family recipes or something that someone, special requests. So from that perspective, I like to do that, and then make sure I start getting everything out and organizing it. And then from there, you've got to make the list. I mean, you really, whether if you're a spreadsheet girl, making your list of all the ingredients you have and you need for the recipes, having the recipes out, having everything together. And then, again, organization. I mean, I typically, I'm a Monday for Thanksgiving. I grocery shop on Monday. Tuesday and Wednesday is all prep. And then Thursday morning, it's just, the last minute, I usually make the stuffing ahead of time. I like it to gel. I like the flavors to mix with the sausage. I do a sausage stuffing. So, I like to make sure that everything has a chance to work together, and then I can get my timing situated. And I even go the table's set, all the silverware's been polished, all that stuff has been done in advance. So whatever you can do in advance as far ahead of time as possible, I think that's the key. And having your list, checking them twice, and, you'll find out if it's gone naughty or nice. But that's the biggest thing, I think, planning. And again, sometimes I have a tendency to sit back on the old tried and true recipes, but sometimes we will go out there and make something new. One year I had 15 here, and everybody wanted to make something. So it was like, everybody was kind of under my skin a little bit. And I'm like, okay, all right. What are you gonna do? I'm like, okay, you do the appetizer. You are in charge of wine, and you are in charge of the dessert. And that worked really well.
Right, nothing too big.
Yeah, exactly. And then my sister, though, she said, I saw this White Castle slider stuffing. We have to make it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh,
Okay.
That was a thing. That's a Midwestern thing. Like Tim, like
yeah.
tried that one year, and I was like, "What are you doing?" But
Yeah.
people loved it. Like who he
It
made it for.
it was good. I will say it was good, but I will say my mother-in-law's stuffing did win in the end. But we tried something new. So, and you know, it's you being so organized that helps you direct your staff. That the most important thing is to organize, to plan out in advance, because you know if you don't plan, something's going to sift through the cracks. Ultimately, you need to plan to enjoy too. You know, I
Right.
mean, you know, try not to make it as stressful of an event as it might be. So,
You know, my other question I have for you is, so I heard you say that you have your in-laws' recipes. So do you try and bring both families' recipes into your
yes,
Thanksgiving?
yes, and I've found a couple of things that I like along the way that I've modified. You know, some people, you know, really love green bean casserole at Thanksgiving, right? For
Yeah, 'cause
example,
my
you know,
husband loves that.
and I do too, but I've kind of jazzed up the green bean casserole. I've added water chestnuts diced in there and then some cheddar cheese in there, and it comes out really nice, and it's got some color, and you still do some of the crispy onions on top and stuff. But I do like that. Like there are certain recipes, and you know, you talk about like maybe signature dishes, you know, from people, and it was interesting because when I was talking to my son when he came home this weekend, he was saying, "Oh, well, you got to make grandma stuffing," which okay, tried and true that we're making that.
Right.
And he said, "But you know," I go, "You know, they asked me a question if I have signature dishes." And I said, "I don't think I really have dishes." And Evan said, "No, you have traditions."
Oh,
Mhm.
Oh,
yeah.
So they've over the
I love
years
that.
learned that, you know, we've got some maybe it's a dish, but it comes along with a tradition, which is
Yeah.
kind of cool. So,
That's nice.
I love that.
absolutely. Yes.
Yeah.
Have you ever had a meal that just went completely sideways and you're like, okay, where's the pizza?
Yeah, in fact, I was making what I would consider a signature dish. I was making ossobuco, and he's a very good cook. I had him over for dinner, and I was having trouble with my oven keeping the temperature.
Oh, yeah.
And here I thought I had put the ossobuco in at like 3:30 and was going to plan to eat at 7. And it's a one dish. I love it because it's a one dish kind of
Right.
mesh, and all you have to do is make the salad and bread, and it's easy. And the oven didn't keep temperature at
oh,
325.
geez.
So
Mm,
I pulled open the oven, and the ossobuco was raw.
mm.
And so down to my freezer, I found ravioli. So we had ravioli with Italian sausage, bread, and the salad instead. So,
And I'm sure it was delicious.
it was good, but it wasn't quite what I planned. And
Yeah,
you know,
that's terrible when that doesn't work out.
and that's I guess the other thing is backup plan. You know,
Yeah.
because I mean there have been times. I mean, I have served pasta one time and gone to put the large bowl on the table, and the pasta all slipped out over the edge, and I have pasta all over, and you're like, I mean, what do you do? I mean, you
Yeah.
know,
What do you do?
you're like
You're
scooping
like,
it back in. Why don't you take it from the table?
Yeah, this is the new way the Italians are eating it. Like we eat it all on the table. It's truly family style.
It gives new meaning to dish it out, truly.
yes.
Throw the whole dish, for sure.
Can I offer
Yeah.
you more wine? What's the wine?
Exactly. How about another glass?
So, what cocktail do you serve at Thanksgiving?
I veer towards like a um, cranberry kind of mimosa,
Mhm.
where you can put some cranberries in there, and you know
Mhm.
you can put a little basil leaf in there, kind of a thing. So color, I try to do color,
Mhm.
and
It's
just
pretty.
kind of do something festive, you know. But
Mhm.
most of the time when I have a cocktail party or anybody over. I mean, I have a full bar, and most people, you know, just kind of help themselves. But
Mhm.
I did cut out some recipes, and I'm going to try them, and they're all skinny recipes. for the holidays.
Okay.
So I'm anxious to look at some of them. One of them's eggnog, and I like eggnog, so I'm
Oh,
excited
gee.
about that. And if it's low
The skinny
calorie,
eggnog?
skinny
Who knew?
eggnog, yes. But lately I have been enjoying a prickly pear martini with a champagne kiss. So it's not too sweet, vodka based, and you can make a prickly pear margarita. And that's also very good. Just a
I think
little
I
bit
had
of,
one of those at your house this summer.
I think you probably did.
Yeah.
Yes. Especially if my sister was in town.
Is that
Exactly.
is that the afternoon that you all like lost your rings because you were cocktailing?
No,
Is that when the rings
That was
went
another one.
overseas?
That was another event.
that was another event, a situation.
That was a
Yes.
afternoon in the pool gone awry.
And then I woke up the next morning with my sister's Rolex on my watch on my hand, and I had no idea how it got there. She wasn't real happy about that though, because she was thinking
You
that she
saved
lost
it from falling in the pool. I think that is a
Exactly.
win.
Right, exactly.
So one other thing I wanted to ask you is we have a lot of sleepover guests. What are some of the things that you do to have sleepover guests during the holidays?
I'm a big attention to detail person. I've been that kind of a way all my life. Like I'll walk down my street in my neighborhood and I'll be like, "Did you know there's 3 new houses for sale?" And my husband will be like, "What? Who? Oh,
Yeah.
who cares?" And to me, it's the little things that mean so much. I like to think about who's coming. My sister is coming tomorrow. And so, I know she likes the prickly pear martinis. So I've got the syrup already. I'm all set. So we're ready with that. I do put flowers in my guest rooms when they come. And I leave toiletry items in case they forgot, Q-tips and, toothbrushes in case somebody forgets something.
Mhm.
And I like to add candles and diffusers to their rooms so everything smells good and fresh. And then I'm a big proponent of sheet spray. I know it sounds silly, but I like to freshen their linens and their towels. And then just
I
little
don't wait,
things.
wait, wait. I don't know what sheet spray is. Is it like
Sheet,
air freshener?
it's sheet spray basically. You can spray it on linens and towels. And there's a great Italian linen scent, so it smells so fresh and like almost like clean cotton.
So it's
And then
perfume. It's basically perfume for your
Perfume for
sheets.
your bed?
yeah,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
Oh.
but it's nice because then when they get in, their sheets are crisp and clean and they smell good. And I think it helps people fall asleep faster. You can do some
Yes.
lavender
right.
and all that kind of stuff. So,
Oh.
water bottles on nightstands and a kitchen stocked
Mhm.
with some coffee and beverages. So
Mhm.
I think that's always a way to make them feel comfortable. Make sure
You
they've got
sound like
everything.
an amazing host.
She
I
is.
like to think so. Yeah,
Aw.
I do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, Janice, the three fishes are so grateful that you came on and gave us so many
Absolutely.
great tips for the upcoming holiday season. And we appreciate your time and effort. And we love seeing your smiling face. We hope you come
Yeah,
back
thank
again
you,
sometime
Janice.
soon.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So good
Thank you
to
guys.
see you.
You
Thank
too.
you, Janice.
All right, guys.
All right, y'all. That was amazing to talk to Janice. She had some really good ideas. I like the idea about the list and even a spreadsheet. I don't know if I'm a spreadsheet kind of a girl, but I do appreciate the
I
list.
am.
I'm a list person.
I'm all about the spreadsheet.
I feel like you would be, but I like the idea of like kind of wrapping your head around itemizing it, and so you
Yeah.
can figure it out. So everything
And
is
day by day too. So
and
that's
day by
amazing.
day.
Yeah.
Yes, and I think it's smart if you have the room to be able to set the table ahead of time.
Mhm,
I don't
mhm.
have that luxury, so I wouldn't be able to do that. But I do think that that's a good tip if
I
you.
think what we will do include on the notes is this list. And it starts like a couple weeks right now before Thanksgiving. It's from Ambitious Kitchen, and it's just a good checklist of things to think about to get yourself ready. Even if you don't use it,
Okay.
it's kind of a good blueprint for people. So we'll attach that in the show notes. So
Perfect.
Ambitious Kitchen. Yep.
All right, ladies, what's for dinner?
Well, one thing that we didn't really talk to Janice about, but I am definitely going to make is her lollipop lamb chops. So we'll put those lamb chops in the show notes, and we also will put her prickly pear martini recipe in the show notes. So thank you for those 2 tips.
When I think of lollipop lamb chops, I think of How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days when he's like, do you guys remember that movie? When he's making the lamb chops, he's like, perfectly pink. That's just totally what popped in my head. I don't know.
Right. And then she goes crazy and starts crying and talking about lambs and how could you possibly eat a lamb? Yeah. Crazy.
Yeah, that's what I just thought of.
That was so funny. These lamb chops are easy and delicious. So you guys are going to love them.
Well, we want to thank you for listening to our podcast and letting us sisters jump into your day. Please make sure to follow, rate, and review us. We really need you to follow us. So we would love to hear your feedback. Also, please share our podcast with your favorite little fishes so we can grow. Please have a wonderful weekend, sisters.